Hello, welcome to Longshot Larry's Sports Astrology. Today we're looking at who can make the Super Bowl from the NFC and the AFC in the NFL. So I'm going to be using the same techniques I've used last year for the big events like the Champions League final and the FIFA World Cup. Looking at these charts, the solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, Capricorn ingress, see how they relate to the teams. So this is the solar eclipse from 25th of October. This one's set for San Francisco. So what are we looking for? The eclipse here is conjunct Venus, so it's quite benefic. If the eclipse is trine your Sun or MC or something like that, that is very beneficial. So that's what we're looking for here. Conjunctions of this eclipse tend to be negative because eclipses tend to block out the light of that particular planet. There's no relationship to the angles here, and I couldn't see anything else with the San Francisco charts. Looking at the lunar eclipse from 8th of November, this is getting a little bit long in the tooth, but it's such a powerful eclipse and it's in fixed signs, so I think it's still got some influence. So the eclipse was, the Sun was conjunct Mercury, the Moon was conjunct Uranus, and they're both widely square Saturn. So it is a particularly nasty eclipse if you have a planet in one of these degrees in 15 Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, or even up here in Leo. So we're looking for alignments to that. This is the first game chart for San Francisco, and you can see the eclipse is sextile the Sun, and Moon, Uranus are trine the Sun, so that's helpful for San Francisco. And the next chart I'm going to be looking at in this presentation is the Capricorn ingress. So when the Sun first moved into Capricorn, 0 degrees Capricorn, and you can see straight away that the Sun is exactly square Jupiter. So I'm looking for charts that have this particular degree. They're going to be highlighted for the next 3 months, or when one of these planets is on an angle. Nothing happening with San Francisco there. Now for my NFC rankings, I've actually chosen San Francisco as my best pick, best chance to make the Super Bowl or even win the Super Bowl. The main reason is all the other teams that I've looked at, there's something I thought was a bit of an impediment for them to make it, particularly Philadelphia and Dallas. So I've gone with San Francisco there, but we'll see how they go. Moving now to Cincinnati. So here's the eclipse, nothing happening with the angles there in Cincinnati. If we look at the Cincinnati coach, Zach Taylor, this eclipse is trine his Venus. And that is important for him because he is a Taurus, so that rules his Sun. So that is helpful for Cincinnati. And if we look at the quarterback, Joe Burrow, you can see his Jupiter is right down here exactly on the IC. Jupiter rules his Sagittarian Sun. He's a double Sag, so it's a very important planet for him. And Jupiter natally is exactly trine his Mars. So once again, that's positive for Cincinnati. If we move on to the lunar eclipse, not much happening there in Cincinnati with regards to planets on angles. If we look at the first game for Cincinnati, the eclipse is sextile the Jupiter-Sun conjunction for Cincinnati, and Moon-Uranus is trine, so that's definitely helpful for them, and also aligning with the Moon there. However, Zach Taylor, at the time of this eclipse, that Saturn is the focal point of a T-square there. It is applying to a square to his Sun, so that's an impediment for Cincinnati winning. The Capricorn ingress, you can see that Sun square Jupiter. The Sun is sextile the MC, so that's a positive for Cincinnati. If we look at Zach Taylor here now, the Sun square Jupiter is applying to an opposition to his Venus here. And Venus rules his Taurus Sun, so that's a bit of an impediment. And Joe Burrow, the quarterback, Jupiter is conjunct his Saturn, so his Saturn is square the Venus of the coach, so it's forming a T-square, so that's a few challenges there for Cincinnati to win the Super Bowl. Moving on to Kansas City. Now Kansas City is currently the favourites to win the Super Bowl and therefore to take out the AFC. Nothing happening with the angles there. Andy Reid, the Kansas City coach, we have a time chart for him. The eclipse is conjunct his Jupiter node, Neptune conjunction he has here natally. Now Neptune is important because Neptune rules his Moon and more importantly his Sun. So that's, I would say, a slight impediment because it could be blocking out the light of his Neptune, and Neptune is a symbol of success because he is a double Pisces. Now looking at the lunar eclipse set for Kansas City, you can see very importantly Pluto is conjunct the IC. That's very powerful. Whenever you see Pluto on an angle set for the city at one of these events, it becomes very important. And Pluto is forming a wide sextile to Jupiter, so this is very beneficial for Kansas City. And if we line this up with Andy Reid, Pluto is forming a sextile to his Sun. It's 2 degrees away. That's a very helpful aspect. Not as powerful as a trine, but still very helpful. And Jupiter is conjunct his Sun. His ascendant is even on the descendant. So that's the lunar eclipse is definitely helpful for Kansas City overall. Moving on to the Capricorn ingress. This is the one which concerns me for Kansas City. Saturn is very close to the MC. Now, unless Saturn is well aligned with other planets here, it tends to be, true to Saturn's nature, a bit of a downer, and that's an impediment there for Kansas City to win. So, lunar eclipse very good for Kansas City. This ingress here, which is still in play, that is a concern for Kansas City fans. Okay, moving on to Buffalo. They are second favourite in terms of winning the Super Bowl. Once again, we can see Pluto is on the IC, but this time in the solar eclipse. For Buffalo, Jupiter is in Aries. I'll come back to this degree a bit later because I think that's very important for Buffalo. No close links to the charts there for Buffalo, but Pluto on an angle does indicate they're going to be in the thick of it. The lunar eclipse for Buffalo, I didn't see much happening on the lunar eclipse. Now the ingress. This Sun is applying to the descendant, square Jupiter, 2 degrees away is quite wide. But when we line up the coach and quarterback, Sean McDermott is the coach. Now you can see he has the Jupiter is conjunct his Sun, and this is a very important degree for Buffalo. Pluto is applying a sextile to his Sun, it's 3 degrees away. If they do make the Super Bowl, it will be about 29 Capricorn, so it's probably in orb if they actually end up making the Super Bowl. And if we put Josh Allen, the quarterback, in, Josh Allen is a Gemini, his Sun is 0 Gemini, so Jupiter is sextile his Sun. Now his Sun is opposite Pluto, trine Uranus, sextile Saturn natally, and there's a series of charts going into January which sort of line up with these degrees. So this is the main reason I've chosen Buffalo. So the main reason I've chosen Buffalo is they've got some good things, but I couldn't see any real negatives for them. Kansas City looked pretty good as well. However, that Saturn in the Capricorn ingress, I think, can be a detriment for them. And Cincinnati, I definitely would rank number 3. So we'll see how we go. So please hit that like button. We need to get those likes up, and subscribe if you're interested. And we'll see you in the next video.